Hey, what's up everyone? How's it going today? Welcome to or welcome back to the channel. My name is Randy and welcome to Randy's Scales and Tales. Alright, so apologies for the voice up front. I was out at dinner last night with some friends and that restaurant was so loud. Had to scream to be able to even talk to each other. Crazy. So my voice is probably a little gruff sounding today, but not sick. I feel fine, so that's great. I don't. A little scratchy throat is totally fine by me. So hope you guys don't mind the gruffier voice today. So with the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie releasing one at the time of filming this a couple weeks ago now, I wanted to do a little bit of a Demon Slayer haul with you guys. So obviously, this one's already out of the box. I had filmed this one prior to the movie coming out for Mitsuri, and I never got to releasing it. So it's still kind of in that raw, unfinished state. I haven't done any editing, so I'll probably put in some B-roll maybe of the unboxing of her. And then I just want to keep this kind of light and fun and just go over these two figures. So yeah, that's about it for me. So let's go over where I got these two from. So we have Mitsuri Kanroji and Nezuko Kamado, and they both come from Crunchyroll. These are the Aniplex and Wing collaboration. These are 1/8 scale, a little smaller than my typical figures that I like to collect, which is more of the 1/7. 1/6 sometimes, and then I have some even 1/4. So these are definitely on the smaller side, which has always been a bummer to me, but to me they all actually look really nice. I got this on sale for 167 USD during a sale that Crunchyroll had, and then they had a Demon Slayer sale for the movie where all the stuff was like at least 30% off for Demon Slayer. So I was able to pick up Nezuko here for $130. So I'm pretty happy with both prices because both of these were actually pretty expensive on the aftermarket usually. So thank you Crunchyroll for those random sales. That's when I pick up stuff from them, is when they have those random like really good sales going on. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into these figures here. I do like that Aniplex stays consistent with the boxes. All the Demon Slayer boxes that I have, they all have a very similar aesthetic. They all have different things, patterns on the boxes that correlate to the character. So for Mitsuri here, we have all these heart shapes all over the box, a heart shape cutout on the top. Just a really nice, beautiful pastel pink and green pattern that goes with her color scheme. There's nothing to assemble for this figure. It's really just opening the box, taking her out, and removing a bunch of styrofoam and other protective pieces. So that was all that she had going on. Alright, to celebrate the occasion, I actually picked up a new knife instead of just using the boring old box cutter, and I got a, not like an officially licensed piece or anything like that, but it is heavily inspired by Rengoku. So let's go ahead, use the new Demon Slayer knife, and get Nezuko's box open and see how she looks. For her box, she has the patterning from her kimono all over the box. This one has a lot of pinks, purples, greens, a lot of forestry elements from like her home where they lived in the forest, and like that you saw like briefly in like the first episode and random flashbacks. And yeah, what I actually really like about this is it has like some blue sky elements on the bottom, and you'll kind of see why once we get into the figure a little bit. Pretty cool fire, like Nichiren blade design. Only on one side. This was not very expensive, so but it does the job. It cuts the tape well. Imagine buying a knife and like you couldn't even cut through tape. That'd be terrible. All right, assembly. Straightforward, 1 foot, 1 peg hole, 1 peg. There's also a groove in the base, like a smooth cutout there for her foot to fit into. Voila, assembly is complete for Nezuko. All right, now that we have both figures out of the box, let's go ahead and cut to the showcase video in 3, 2, 1, go. Hey, welcome back from the showcase. Hope you enjoyed. So let's go ahead and run through these figures a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and talk about this Mitsuri figure first. First thing, the pose. So good. I think this is, let me rephrase that. It's not, I think. This is my favorite pose of any of the figures that she has out there. Easily, this one grabbed my attention the fastest. I love this pose. It's so crazy and dynamic, and she does a lot of acrobatics in her fighting style. So this figure, in my opinion, captures that the best. It just looks so cool. It looks so good. I think they did a really good job with the paintwork on this. Great paint application in terms of the technique. There's not like bleed over or anything like that. The paint is all where it should be. There's a lot of shading throughout her uniform, throughout her hair, even throughout like the sandal, the pink in the sandal straps even has shading involved as well. The sword is probably one of the big standout pieces for this. It's just an absolute stunning job. Now, as cool as the sword is, mine is not perfect. There's a few places where the paint, the pink metallic paint, is either scuffed off or just wasn't applied properly in that area. It's small places, like you'd have to really be, you know, heavily inspecting it up close to see. Once it's on a display, you would never, ever, ever notice that. I will say they did a really good job with recreating the tsuba, or the guard, and then the handle for her sword, for her katana, Nichiren blade, all the various terms that you could use. They definitely captured that really, really well in this figure. Something I find that's funny, not a positive, not a negative, but it's so funny that they were likely forced to make this figure like PG-13. But considering her pose and crazy acrobatic nature, it doesn't make any sense, but the skirt is like stitched together at the bottom, which is so hilarious to me. Like, it defies all laws of physics, and yet there we are. So yeah, that is just something funny to point out. I do really like the idea of the base. I think it's so great. I've said this a billion times in any of my reviews that I love when a figure recreates a scene from the anime, manga, whatever the source material is. I love when it recreates a scene from that material. And this figure definitely captures that climactic fight scene between Mitsuri and the demon that can control, kind of like a wood dragon demon. I can't remember, again, can't remember his name. But anyway, that fight at the end of the Swordsmith Village arc, this base fully captures that magnificently. So the idea and how it captures it is great. The execution is pretty solid. It's really just comes down to the paint and kind of like texture of the base, maybe is the word I'm looking for. So this like rock bottom, like there's definitely, you know, different shades of paint used. So like that part is good. There's kind of like a creamy, sandy brown, and then more of like a gravelly gray kind of interspersed throughout to, so I do like that aspect. It just, I don't know, up close it just obviously is plastic, to me anyway. And then it's the same for the tree. The tree sculpt is pretty good, and there's all the different parts of this dragon-esque, serpent-esque tree has, you know, it's all sculpted in. It has shading, good paint application, all that. Cool, like vines, like wooden vines kind of curling around in various places. Looks cool, but again, it comes off more as plastic for some reason to me. Like, it doesn't look like wood. And I don't know what they could do differently to get that across for me. Maybe it's it could just be the smoothness of it. Like, if they just texturized it to make it look like bark or something, I think that would go a long way. But it is the base, technically, and so they put the majority effort on the character, I think. All in all, still a fantastic figure. There are just some little minor things that I think could elevate it kind of to the next level, particularly with the base. All right, scoring time for Mitsuri. Let's see. So for the Mitsuri Kanroji figure, 1/8 scale by Aniplex, I'm going to give this one a solid 7.75 out of 10. I think the way to bring this one up, to elevate it kind of to that 9 status, 9.5 status for me, would really just be the base. Texturizing things maybe a little bit differently to have it look a little bit more like wood, a little bit more like stone, or whatever they're going for the bottom. I'm like 99% sure stone is kind of what they're going for. Some ground of some kind. I think that would kind of elevate it. But I think Mitsuri herself is really, really good. All right, let's move on to Nezuko. This is my first scale figure of Nezuko. I didn't think I mentioned this. This is my first scale figure of Mitsuri as well. I've wanted a scale figure of Nezuko for ages. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 Nezuko's from the Fig Art Zero line. I'll throw some images up here for the 3 that I have. And they kind of encapsulate all her various forms. But yeah, I've just been, whatever reason, I've just been holding off on buying a scale, even though she has a couple really pretty nice ones. I've always liked this one, and I'll give you one guess as to why I like this one so much compared to the other ones. The reason is because it recreates a scene from the anime. Absolutely love when figures do that. You already know that. So yeah, no brainer for me. I was like, yeah, this is definitely the one. This is a recreation of when she defeats the sun from the end of the Swordsmith Village arc. I love this scene. It was such an emotional, climactic, just unexpected scene. And yeah, I absolutely loved this part. See, I love that she has that big, wide smile. You really get to see just, you know, how pretty her face is. Walking out in the sunlight, not being burned to a crisp, hair flowing in the wind, outfit tattered from combat, just blowing in the wind. Like, yeah, just across that sun-kissed green field, just looked so, so cool. And I'm so happy to have this in figure form now. They did a phenomenal job on this figure. Lots of shading throughout her kimono. The design is fully sculpted and etched in. It is not painted on. It's not a decal. This is sculpt work on the patterning of the kimono. She does have nicely painted, sharp fingernails. They are a nice pink color, like a pastel pink. Oh, you know, this is cool. I just noticed this. Sick. I don't know if it's blood or what. Her nails are like a light pink, and then the very, very tip, every single finger is like a deep red. That's so sick. It's on her feet, on every nail on her on her toe, even the pinky toe, all the fingers on her hands. That's sick. I didn't even notice that until just this moment. That just adds to the badassness of this so much. Phenomenal job, honestly. For what comes across initially is just kind of like a simple standing figure, and 1/8 even at that, so everything is even smaller than a lot of other figures out there. They did capture quite a bit of detail. So I think the execution alone, so good. Absolutely fantastic. For how much is going on with the hair, there's a lot of strands of hair. And they did damn well. So there's no paint transfer on mine. The way that they packaged it, I think, really helped. I've seen comments from some people where the paint application wasn't great on the hair, or there's paint transfers of this like orange onto the black in places, or maybe on the outfit. I don't have any of that, so I don't know if I just got lucky or if they just got unlucky. I'm not sure which holds more true, but I will say it's great. Yeah, they did a phenomenal job. The black part of the hair is probably the only downside to me, and it's only because it is flat black, which I do understand black hair likely being more difficult to shade. You could use, lighter and darker variants, so you're coming into the more gray area. But yeah, this is more just like a flat, same color black from top towards the bottom, and then the bottom, it's not like a transition so much to the brown, orangey hair color. It is like it's just a harsh transition to that hair color. But once you do get into that color, there's shading that goes on. So there are different variants and shades of this golden brown throughout the tips. So they did shade that part black, they did not shade. And then kind of just the last standout point that I wanted to make is just about her mouth, or face in general. But the mouth has some depth to it, so that's really nice. I do like how well they defined her mouth. I think it turned out really well. And then just the demon eye decals look so sick in person. Really think they smashed that one out of the park. I do like the base, how small it is. It's got the texture, even different shades of green throughout the grass of the base. All right, for Nezuko's final review score, I'm going to give her a well-deserved 9.25 out of 10. Alright, that'll bring us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for joining today's unboxing and little review, little double hitter to celebrate Demon Slayer Infinity Castle Movie 1. 2 more movies to go. I cannot wait for them. Be sure to drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to think about these figures. You've heard all of my babbling, and I'd love to get your 2 cents on this as well. Or any other, if there's like another Demon Slayer figure of these 2 that you absolutely love, definitely let me know. I'm always interested to see what other people enjoy collecting as well. That'll bring us to the end of the video, everybody. If you've enjoyed the video and you like the content that I'm putting out there, it'd be awesome if you wanted to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, any of those YouTube-y things to help me out. That'd be greatly appreciated. But if not, that is totally okay. Thank you for joining me on this one, and I will catch you in another one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.